you're gonna break into. On you.
Now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C. studio in Lake George, in New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Whenever you listen, I hope you're doing all right. Busy show scheduled for today. Last one of the week live. Anyway, for all you live viewers and listeners on the internet or on Fight Now or on Billy C. Boxing or Talking Boxing or Max Boxing or wherever else you're watching the show or listening to the show live, we will not be doing a live show tomorrow. But all the radio stations, so if you're used to listening to the show on the radio dial, Fight Now, even LDL TV, well, actually, LDL TV is going to be doing a live weigh-in with us, so maybe they won't be doing it, but everybody else will be doing it, except for us, live. So just a programming note. Don't forget the show's being brought to you in part by CATS, a nationwide luxury transportation service. If you're looking for a limousine, you're someplace in the United States of America, then you need to give my girl. Just remember, though, I want you to do business with her. I want you to hire her, but she's my girl, all right? We're going to be, tying the old knot. So 202-351-7496, 202-351-7496. CATS Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service is the official limo service of this year's Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame Induction Weekend Get-Together, which is scheduled for November 16th, 17th, and 18th in South Glens Falls, New York. So you better make your plans now. It's growing rapidly. You missed it last year, and this year I would highly recommend that you get your stuff early. There is limited space. If you were there last year, it's just in the same location. So there is limited space. So I would make your plans now. You can get the latest information by visiting the website, www.billycboxing.com, and click one of the Billy C Boxing Hall of Fame banners. Cat's Nationwide Luxury Transportation Service. Give her a call. But just remember, you know what I'm going to say. She's mine. Mine, all mine. 202-351-7496. Show is also being brought to you in part by, that's right, you know what I was going to say, Campaneer and Tomkovich. They keep me out of trouble. They can keep you out of trouble, too. Give them a call if you're looking for a lawyer. 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. No matter what it is. Some kind of paperwork lawyer, you know, like if you have real estate or matrimonial issues or you got a letter, you're getting sued, you got to have somebody stick up for you, or even criminal law, whatever you need, give Campaneer and Tomkovich a call, 845-221-4099. Tell them Billy C sent you. And for you, I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. Just tell him Billy C said that he's going to pick up the consultation fee. 845-221-4099. And also, the show's being brought to you by pknradio.com. You know, we just joined that network. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of cutting-edge radio talk. Talk radio. Yeah. That's what you're supposed to say. Talk radio. And, you know, it's a dying breed, apparently. A lot of radio stations are abandoning it, and that's why this network has taken off so well. We were happy to find out the other day that the statistics, the numbers are skyrocketing in a small amount of time. We are on that network. I think we're the only sports-related show, definitely only the boxing one, but there may be one other sports show on there. Check it out, www.pknradio.com. There's a full schedule there. You can get information about the shows, different time slots. I know we play Monday through Thursday, I think, and then twice a day, and then I think over the weekends as well. So check it out. If you like talk radio, you're going to love pknradio.com. And also the show is being brought to you in part by my friends over at the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. If you're looking for a great place to hang out with cool people, drink specials all the time, big screen TVs everywhere, and fantastic food. Then there's only one place. If you're in the South Glens Falls, Lake George, Glens Falls, Queensbury areas, that's a Halftime Bar and Grill. 518-792-4869. That's 792-4869. Halftime Bar and Grill. Tell them Billy C sent you for the discount. Get something for free. Get a free drink. And if you're man enough or woman enough, because I met a couple of women over there that will beat the snot out of all of us. You know, the bottom line is tell them you want boneless chicken wings with Billy C's hot sauce. And then let me know what you think, man. So, anyway, that's that. Don't forget, I got some other announcements here real quick. We got a new poll question up on BillyCBoxing.com. Unfortunately, the other one ended in a deadlock 50-50 draw. That's right. The question was, you know, is Tony Thompson the best opponent, basically, for Klitschko? Does he have a chance? And went back and forth and went back and forth. It started out just overwhelming. No. All of a sudden, it comes back and it ends up 50-50. It was going back and forth, 60-40, 40-60, 60, you know, you get what I mean. But it ended as a deadlock tie. Now, we put the new poll question up yesterday, and I know that it was sent around the social media. You know, I know that was sent around, and right now it's overwhelming, thank God. But the thing is, you know, we get a lot of talk about Floyd Mayweather. You know, we got his followers, you know, his people who no matter what he does, they support him 100%, which is great. You know, it's like Tebow. We're going to talk about that in a second. You know, so everybody that, you know, doesn't want to hear anything about anything except boxing, just hang tight. But, you know, the Mayweather people, they just do not want to listen to anything about him or negative about him. And it's the same. You know, I'm not bashing on him because it's the same for the Pacquiao people. They're the same way, you know. It's like what I say about the Yankee and Boston Red Sox fans. They hate each other, but they're the same fan. They just like different teams. Well, it's the same thing with Pacquiao and Mayweather, in my opinion. IMO. You know, they're the same people. They just like different fighters. And one thing that always comes up when I talk with Mayweather fans is that they think that he's the greatest fighter of all time. They've bought into his own statements that he's the greatest fighter of all time, and Floyd makes no qualms about it that he wants to go down in history as the greatest fighter of all time. Well, arguably, most people in the business, let me rephrase that. Most people in the business arguably pick Sugar Ray Robinson as the greatest fighter of all time. He's put up on a pedestal, and I don't think anybody, including Floyd Mayweather, will ever change that. However, it's a new time, it's a new generation, and maybe it is time for change. Uh-oh. I didn't just say that, did I? But anyway, the bottom line, poll question, if these two guys met in their prime, now I don't want to hear, Robinson was bigger and everything, because he actually, his best days was at welterweight. But even so, let's be real, Floyd's best days were below welterweight. So, just assuming they were the same size, both at their best, both in their prime, they meet for a dream matchup, Sugar Ray Robinson against Floyd Mayweather Jr., who wins? Well, go cast your vote right now, www.billycboxing.com. Right now, it went up there yesterday. It went up there yesterday probably slightly before noon Eastern time. And right now, overwhelming 100% for Sugar Ray Robinson. So if you're a Mayweather fan, for all I know, that could be one vote. I don't know. But if you're a Mayweather fan and you think Mayweather would have stood a chance, even better than that, even would have beat the late great Sugar Ray Robinson, you better go cast your vote now. I'm kind of curious to see what happens with this vote. That's for sure. But anyway, so go cast your vote right now. Every week we feature a different artist being sponsored to us by RadioSubmit.com. Now this week we didn't have a featured artist. What we did was we took some of your favorite songs that you guys had emailed and said, hey, I like this, I like the sound, I like the vocals, blah, blah, blah. And we put 5 different ones together, which we shouldn't have done because there's only going to be 4 live shows. There's no live show till Monday. Today's music, RadioSubmit.com, check it out, was, I'll tell you what, this chick's voice, I love it, man. I love this band. Low Society is what it's called, and Crazy Love is the song. I love it. So, anyway, hey, don't forget, man. Now, a lot of people, yesterday I got some requests for the code, so I guess several other websites are going to be broadcasting it, which is great. The more the merrier. The only problem is I can't get the code to you anymore. So if you're listening to this and you kind of dragged your feet and now you realize that you need to get the code to put up on your site, do me a favor and email john@ldltv.com, john@ldltv.com, and request the code, and hopefully he can get it to you before he leaves. So if you're looking to get the code for the French Invasion that we're going to be broadcasting live from Macon, Georgia, Saturday night, beginning at 6:45 p.m. The first fight is scheduled to start at 7 p.m. Then if you want to broadcast that yourself, we have the code you can embed right in your website, right on your website. And there's also a direct link, so if you don't want to get involved with the HTML code, then you could just put a link on there. I'm going to be calling the action. The main event, Frank Haroche Horta, coming all the way. It's a long drive from France to Macon, Georgia. And he's going to be taking on Contender Series star Grady Brewer in the main event. And that's going to be for the IBO Intercontinental Junior Middleweight Championship. Whew. And the rest of the card is filled with some competitive bouts. They're competitive bouts, let's just say that. A lot of times, in some cases, what I love about this card, and I tell you what I like, is the fact that, when I look at a fight sometimes and I see a guy, let's say for an example, 12-0, and he's fighting a guy that's got a record of, 5-20. You say to yourself, man, this is a mismatch. But what if you see a guy that's got a 5-20 record and he's fighting against a guy with an 8-16 record? Classic. Because these are two fighters that have been opponents, and the win is very important to one of them because a win means that they get another fight against somebody else. This card has a couple of those matchups. where everything is on the line for a fighter, whether he gets another payday or not, whether he continues his career. And sometimes you just don't look at a record and you just concentrate on the match. And I think we're in for a great night of fights. So tune in, check that one out, beginning at 6:45, first fight, 7 p.m. on LDLTV.com. It's also going to be, it's going to be on LDLTV. They're going to stream it on LDLTV.com. It's also going to be on Ustream. I think we're going to have it on BillyCBoxing.com, but several other websites, including the promoter's website. I think it's Beddington Boxing Promotions or something like that. But anyway, hey, I got to take a break, and when I come back, I got a couple of emails to read. Usual suspects, usual suspects, usual topics coming up.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Roselli Enterprises. Roselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Roselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RoselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IDO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IDO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at IBOboxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C Radio Show. You're watching us on LDL TV. Don't forget to tune into LDLTV.com. Saturday night for the French Invasion. That's right, French Invasion. Yours truly will be calling the action, and we're going to be coming at you live starting at 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time for some pre-fight commentary, but the first fight starts at 7 p.m. sharp. And if you're not doing anything Friday night, tune into the weigh-in. I'm not sure what time it starts, but check out LDLTV.com for all the info on that one. Speaking about info, check out BillyCBoxing.com for the latest news. Set BillyCBoxing.com as your homepage. You're going to see a news report that's been out. It's on some other sites. It's about Tampa Bay boxing. You know, Tampa Bay Warriors is the show. It's a series. It's a new fight series. It tried to start at the beginning of the month, but because of some issues, the promoter was shut down 15 minutes before we were going to go on air. I told you about that. What I didn't tell you was that we're going to be working a little closely with them. I say we, me and the staff here. We are going to be involved with the promoter and trying to bring the series to Tampa. And we're kicking it off on May 12th. Now, originally it was going to be April 21st, but due to a venue not being available, and this promoter, I give him so much credit, Jerry Estrada. I mean, he goes back. He basically gets dragged through the mire, gets involved with some individuals he shouldn't have, and one thing led to another. He ends up losing his shirt. The car doesn't go off. Instead of running with his tail between his legs the way most people would have, most first-time promoters definitely would have. This guy stands there, tall and strong, pays off all the bills, so to speak, pays all the fighters, does everything he's got to do, reorganizes the company, and comes back, and it's scheduled for May 12th. Looking forward to it. Chevelle Fist of Steel Halbach, you guys know I work with her. She's going to be the main event. And we have an opponent all set, but I'm not going to announce it because the date was changed. We actually had a contractual agreement with someone else that we need to make sure they didn't want to step in. So that's going to be announced hopefully by Monday, but it will be for the world title, the IFBA world welterweight title. So we're excited about that. Bringing a world title fight to Tampa along with the best young stars in the Tampa area that are coming up. And I'll tell you what, this is going to be a great series. It's going to be broadcast to you live for free on television and webcast. So if you're not in Tampa, you're going to be able to pick this one up. And we're excited about it. It's going to be a monthly series. It's kicking off May 12th. Get yourself some tickets for that. We want to sell the place out for the first time. It's going to be at Tampa Bay Convention Center. Call them now. Tell them you want tickets to the May 12th show, and tell them you want the Billy C discount. All right. I'm going to talk about, I got a couple of mailbags here. But first, I got to talk. I got a lot of emails that are not part of these mailbags, but they're also not part of the sport of boxing. They're part of the sport of football. Now, everybody that knows me, that's been watching this show or listening to this show, I've been on air. This is our 8th year. If you've picked up one thing about me, and it's not the mustache, and no, I'm not bald. I may be thinning out, but I actually have to get a haircut. The other thing you're going to know is I'm a Jet fan. And you can't see in the camera shot, but I have my signed football from my idol, Joe Namath, right up there on his shelf. It's part of the studio, but unfortunately it's not in the camera shot. The rest of the studio is all boxing, except for the model of my car. But the bottom line is this. The New York Jets signed Tim Tebow yesterday. Now, in case you don't follow the sport of American football at all, here's the deal. Peyton Manning, arguably the best quarterback in the NFL today, winding down his career. He's got 2 years left, maybe 3, depending upon his health. Just signed a 5-year deal where he plans on ending his career as a professional in Denver. Now, the Denver Broncos used to have Tim Tebow as their quarterback, and Tim Tebow is a guy that's regarded as not much talent in terms of passing ability, but he's always wins. This guy, he's like a freak, he wins. He did the same thing when he played in college football for the Florida Gators. He won a national championship. He also won the Heisman Trophy. So, this guy's a proven winner. He's been very vocal about his religious beliefs, blah, 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 blah. They call it Tebow mania, right? Well, the Jets signed him. Now, what does that mean? Everybody wants to know my thoughts. Here's the thing. First of all, the Jets have Sanchez. They have my man Sanchez as the quarterback. Now, Mark Sanchez, young kid, gets drafted number 1 by the Jets 3 years ago and steps in as a rookie and does pretty damn well. His second year as a New York Jet does pretty damn well. And I say pretty damn well. They make it to the championship game twice. All right? Well, twice, and they lose. Last year, he finished 8-8. Everybody's ready to hang him up to dry. My point about Sanchez is, number one, he had the worst offensive coordinator and no line, and the Jets made all kinds of blunders by getting rid of their main receivers that the kid was throwing to. And then everybody blamed Sanchez. Plus, Sanchez had some light letdowns, too, as well. So the combination of all those things, unrest in the locker room, blah, 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 blah. Well, the Jets didn't help matters any by entering the Peyton Manning sweepstakes. Then they back out and they give Sanchez an extension to his contract. Yesterday they signed Tim Tebow. Everybody's like, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? This is my opinion. I think Tim Tebow, if the Jets are smart, what they will do with Tim Tebow is they'll bring him in as a Wildcat quarterback only, and they will change their offensive look. If I'm the Jets and I'm the blind guy that just got hired as the offensive coordinator, I put Tim Tebow in that backfield all the time. I move Mark Sanchez back. I put him in as a shotgun quarterback all the time. He shouldn't even get underneath the center. He's short, so it gives him the ability to see a little better. It sets him back from a suspect line. It gives him a couple of, at least a second more, time, maybe even a second and a half to get rid of the ball. It gives him an option to roll around and run back there if he wants. He's a good runner. So I think by putting him in the shotgun is a smart move. Now you put Tim Tebow, you line him up off to Sanchez's right a little bit, up, almost as in the pistol format. If you know anything about football, they call it the pistol, where he's not a quarterback isn't lined up as far back as a shotgun, but not under the center either, someplace in between. And you have him in an I-back position where he's not in a three-point stance, and he could be there. The center could direct snap to him. Sanchez could flip the ball to him, could dump a pass off to him. He could take a snap. He can run it. He can throw it. You have the running back off to the left, and it opens up the offense big time. If I'm the Jets and I just got Tim Tebow like they did, that's what I do with the offense. You know, they're talking about bringing him in for 10 to 15 plays a game and run the Wildcat and all that stuff. That's going to create friction, because if he scores a couple of times, everybody's going to be cheering for him to come in. And to run the offense, I don't know if he's the guy, but to put him in there on the field at the same time as Mark Sanchez, you know what? That may not be a bad idea. He's big, he's strong, and oh, by the way, the Jets don't have a running back, any good running. They have one. So anyway, here we got David Allen already, losing his mind. He's like, I thought I was turned into a boxing show, but anyway, that's that. That's a response to all the emails I got. What do I think? That's what I think. I'm happy about it if they do what I said. If they brought him in to fight and for a starting position, I don't know. And they also they brought in another quarterback at Stanton or somebody like that. And they had a good quarterback as a backup. Not Brunell. They had a young kid out of Alabama. So really, they're set. They're set there if they do what I say. But anyway, got a couple of emails. One is EQX says to me, they both have limited skills. Well said. Now, he was referring to Sergio Martinez fighting Darren Barker and Matthew Macklin, and he said, good choice of words. They both have limited skills. Yeah, they do. They were handpicked for Sergio Martinez. There's no question about that. And I think Sergio Martinez is one of the better fighters in the sport today. But he also looks very good against those kinds of guys. That's for sure. I got another email here by EQX, and I also got a couple of emails from my man Given Quality, but they're going to have to wait until after I come back from the break, because they're a little extensive answers. Let's just say that. They're a little extensive answers, so we're going to give you those last two couple of emails right after this.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretcher, that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent you.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask you.
Wrong speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to Talking Boxing with Billy C Radio Show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have the Fight Now channel on your sports channel lineup, then you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want it. That's right. Like Gollum would say, you want it. Tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone, call whoever you got your TV service with, whether it's through satellite or through the cable networks, and tell them that you want Fight Now, right now. Every night is Fight Night on Fight Now, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out their website for all the information about the channel and their schedule, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of Fight Now, I want to welcome the Fight Now audience just joined us. You missed my Tim Tebow. What I feel about him coming to the Jets. Wasn't boxing, but, it's New York. And I am a Jets fan, and I am supportive of it if they do what I said. And they keep him in the backfield with Sanchez all the time. I think it would wreak havoc on defenses. Well, who's going to get the ball? Who's going to get the ball? Does Tim have it? Does Mark have it? Does the running back have it? Does the receiver have it? Or is it intercepted? My man EQX says, all the top fighters, all the fighters they say Floyd was ducking were top-ranked fighters. And, Billy, you would like to see Floyd work back from a serious cut or what have you. But wouldn't you say it takes more skill to avoid punishment? I always thought boxing was about hitting and not getting hit. He's difficult to hit clean. Man, when I say that I want to see Floyd come back from adversity, get up from a knockdown, get a serious cut, and come back, I'm not knocking his skills for avoiding it. I just would like to see him if it can happen. Now, granted, if throughout his whole career, the guy finishes his whole career, nobody ever knocks him down, nobody ever cuts him seriously, what are you going to do? I was saying hypothetically, I'd like to see, everybody says, they, as part of his qualities, people tell me all the time, he's got heart, he's got determination, he's got the will to win. Whoa, wait a minute. I know he's got determination, I know he's prepared. I know he's got the will to win. But as far as heart goes, we can only assume he's got heart. He's got a lot of heart to stay in condition all year long. I'll give him that. He's got a lot of heart to stay focused, all the time. I'll give him that. He's got a lot of heart to be totally professional, unless he's hitting after the bell or whatever, in the ring during the fight. And I give him that. But, when a guy gets knocked down, or if a guy is getting badly beaten, or if a guy is really cut, and, everything looks dismal, and you as a trainer, you say to your fighter at that last second, man, listen, they're going to stop this fight, man. You got your cut is like chopped meat. They're going to stop this fight. You got 1 minute before they stop this fight. Go out there and knock out your opponent, after you've been getting beaten all fight long. And then that fighter wins. Yes, it's dramatic, and it shows some heart, in my opinion. Now, I am agreeing with you 100%, EQX, that if no one can ever hit the guy and he never gets dropped or he never gets seriously cut, that's accolades for him. And I agree with that. I'm just saying I'd like to see him, hypothetically. And that brings me to Given Qualities, emails. He's got a couple of them here. One, he says, Billy, why do you stop using BS fake numbers? Use the real numbers from the most recent Ortiz fight. The high-definition pay-per-view is not $50. It's $60. Well, the regular low-quality one was $50, wasn't it? I don't even know. And I was using, he says, we know for a fact that what both guys' purses have been before pay-per-view is factored in. And again, he's back on the Pacquiao and Floyd thing. Floyd has never said he only makes $10 to $12 million per fight. That's comical. Do your homework and research. The highest-paid athlete in all sports is not making $10 to $12 million for one fight a year, and is still somehow grossing more money than Pacquiao, who fights 2 to 3 days. Yeah, it doesn't make sense, dude. I was using it as an example. 1 million buys at $50 a piece. I was trying to keep it simple. I never said those were actual numbers. What I said is that in an ordinary fight, when all is said and done, after, yesterday the numbers I think that I said was $25 million he would end up making in an ordinary fight, and by the time he pays taxes and his posse and everything else, he's going to be walking away with about $12 million net. And that's what I said. That's pretty damn good, man. If you're laughing at that, then you're crazy. Because, the actual numbers, what was it? The biggest grossing paid fight was him and De La Hoya at the time. And what was that? $165 million total gross. Total gross. That's not what he made. That's a total gross. That's $165 million. It was the biggest money-making, revenue-generating fight in the history of the sport was Mayweather and De La Hoya. And it was about $168 million, I believe. All right, correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sure you guys will. $168 million. So if that's the largest one ever, how are you going to sit here and tell me that he makes $50 million? No problem. All right, highest paid athlete. He's the highest paid athlete per event, I guess, if you look at it. But he's not making more money over a 10-year span than some of these other superstars. That signed $200 million contracts over 8 years, 10 years in baseball and basketball. He's not making more than them, because his career may not go that much longer. And he certainly wasn't making $50 million for his whole career. Isolation, big time. But on an average fight, he's taking home $10 to $12 million. Figure it out, man. And that's, me just making up numbers. You're right. I made up the numbers based on easy-to-follow math. Come on. Come on now. I'm Italian. I'm no mathematician. So leave me alone about the exact numbers. You and your Brunkle Mayweather. And speaking of giving quality, he says Mayweather was more dangerous and a much better fighter at 130 pounds and 135 pounds in Giving Quality's opinion. He says now that he is at 147, where he just plays with opponents and outsmarts them. I agree with that. I never said that he's a better fighter now. I happen to think that he was more exciting now than he was. I liked what he did against what he appeared to be doing against Victor Ortiz. I hope he comes out like that aggressive again. I like the way he fought Ricky Hatton when Ricky Hatton forced it on him. I like that. I think that the guy could be possibly discussed as one of the greatest of all time if he engaged more. But you're right that, he does play with them and he outsmarts them, and a win's a win's a win. That's all he cares about. I'm not going to knock him for that. He goes on to say, like I always say, he won't be tested the way you want to see him because no one out there right now is good to break him down for 12 rounds. This is the problem, and I agree. Same thing with EQX. There is no one out there that's going to drop him and cut him up bad and everything else. There's not. And even Given Quality says, hey, sure, there's always one time out there that's a lucky shot can happen, and that's my only prayer that he gets dropped or cut up with a lucky shot. That's the funny thing. If somebody lands a punch and drops him, or somebody lands a punch and cuts him open real bad, that's what all the Mayweather fans are going to say. They're not going to give the credit to the guy who landed the punch. They're going to say, oh, it was lucky. It was a Rockman punch. It was lucky, man. And it very well could have been. And when and if it happens, I will give you my opinion on it. And trust me, I will be honest on it. But right now, with the I can't argue with Given Quality. All right, I can't. Right now, looking at everybody with the exception of Pacquiao, and we all know that fight probably won't happen at this point. I don't think there's many others that will give him much of a test after Cotto. I do think Cotto's going to give him a test. Sergio is not elite. Like I said, that's why he struggled against Macklin. Floyd Mayweather Jr. is not going to allow a Macklin to control a fight pace, period. He's not a skilled boxer. I can't argue with that either. Mayweather controls the pace of his fights. There's no question about that. Mayweather controls the pace of his fights. He makes you fight the way you want. He's similar to a Klitschko. And in that respect, I mean, when somebody's preparing for Klitschko, they come out with all you got to do is, people say that same thing about Mayweather. All you got to do is, his own father said, all you got to do to beat Mayweather is, get around the shoulder roll, And, easier said than done. So, listen, you guys take to heart too much about the Floyd Mayweather defense stuff. It becomes sickening to me. Go cast your vote right now. Hey, all the Floyd Mayweather fans out there that are listening, go cast your vote because you're going to need it. All right? Right now, our poll question on BillyCBoxing.com, who would have won? Come on, man. Put your money where your mouth is. Who would have won? Sugar Ray Robinson in his prime against Floyd Mayweather Jr. in his prime. All right? Both fighting at the same weight, assuming that there's no tangibles there. I don't want to hear, Sugar Ray was bigger. He fought better opposition, which he did. And he was. All those things. But, dream matchup, skill upon skill. Who wins if Sugar Ray Robinson fights Floyd Mayweather Jr.? Go cast your vote, BillyCBoxing.com right now. Right now, for all you Mayweather lovers, it's a shutout. 100% say that Sugar Ray Robinson would have beaten Mayweather. I will be casting my vote later on today, and I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to keep it a secret. I'm picking Sugar Ray Robinson, easily. I think he's the greatest fighter of all time. Floyd Mayweather, not so much. Did you catch the official statement? Even Coach is saying, Ray would have won with one hand tied behind his back. Even Sugar Ray Leonard, David Allen, who doesn't really know much about the sport, he says Sugar Ray Leonard would have even beaten Mayweather, which I agree with. I said that the other day. Daxx says Floyd doesn't like a fast pace. Neither do most counterpunches. So of course, Daxx is still half asleep and not talking about the same thing we are. Let's see. He says I can go on my day instead of wondering all day who Billy C voted on. Daxx is being insubordinate right now, and maybe the phone system won't work when we try to get him on a little later. But we'll have to wait and see. But the WBC says. They have an official statement. This cracks me up about the WBC because I've been very critical of how they think that they are boxing and how they stick their big, nose. I was going to say something that Alex would have yelled at me for, but I'm not gonna, Alex. I'm behaving myself. I'm sick of those lawsuits. But the WBC sticking their nose where they shouldn't belong, worrying about other sanctioning bodies' rules and regulations and fights and outcomes and judging and blah, blah, blah. And yet they can't even make up their own mind about their own middleweight champion. And, he said, she said, this one's fighting this one's going to fight this one better fight me next, and blah, blah, blah. Well, the WBC issued a statement, an official statement that's on their website right now if you want to check it out, WBCBoxing.com. It says, officially, today was released by the media outlets a note. This is from the WBC, a note where the agent of our WBC middleweight diamond champion, Sergio Martinez, says that the negotiations with Chavez agent have ceased. When Chavez conquered the WBC middleweight title, which is kind of funny choice of words because didn't they just give him the belt? But anyway, he says discussions started when Chavez conquered the WBC. Discussions started where even our president, Don Jose Sulaiman, now they call him the Don. Hey, Jose Sulaiman, can you kiss my ring? And so Jose Sulaiman, kiss my ring, a kiss on my ring. No. But anyway, that's wrong thing. Jose Sulaiman was offended, but the WBC has stuck to what was ordered during its last convention in Las Vegas, and the same goes to both fighters. Here's what's happening now as far as the WBC is concerned. The negotiation period for the parties began on March 19th and will conclude on April 9th. They're referring to the fact that the Chavez and Martinez team, which is Top Rank and Lou DiBella, have to negotiate a fight between these two now. They have until April 9th. It started 2 days ago. It's got to go till April 9th. And in which case, if they can't come up with an agreement, then we will have a public auction on April 16th. They mean public auction, meaning a public purse bid for the fight between Chavez and Martinez. If Sergio Martinez does not take part in the negotiations, he will be disqualified as the mandatory challenger. But if Julio Cesar is the one who does not take part, he will be disqualified as champion. The president of the WBC is worried for this matter because both boxers have been supported in a great way during their careers by the WBC. The WBC will wait for the negotiation period and the auction to conclude to decide what to do. It sounds to me like their hand-picked champion, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., and their redheaded stepchild champion that they for some reason stripped and then elevated, and then now he's got to wait for a title shot in Sergio Martinez. Looks like both of them are saying, hey, later for you, WBC. We could give two craps what you little troll face says. They're putting no value in it. They're looking at, hey, you know what? Lou DiBella, he's just looking for whoever's going to pay him. He doesn't care. He doesn't even care about a belt anymore. Lou DiBella's become a lazy promoter. So he's just looking for the biggest money that he can get, because he's not putting it on. He's not putting it on. No way, Jose Sulaiman. Get it? No way, Jose. Okay, whatever. But, he's saying, no way am I going to put it on. Top Rank's going to have to put it on. And Top Rank says, well, we're going to have to put it on. We're not going to fight you yet. We want to get one more payday, and then maybe we'll fight you. So Chavez says that that's what he's going to do. He's looking around for an opponent. We all know that his opponent that he wanted, Murray, was not able to come in the States because he's an ex-con. And we don't want that frick-frack, frickin' frack or whatever they call it here in the States. We got enough of us here, like myself and Daxx. We don't need any more riffraff. Yeah, that's what I mean, riffraff, sorry. But, there's enough of us here. So they're not letting anybody else in, so he can't fight him. Murray's out. So now Andy Lee is, heading the list. Andy Lee, oh, geez, the human punching bag. I when we used to have the gym, we used to just have the heavy bags. We used to just paint Andy Lee's face on them because it's about what he does in the ring. So Chavez is thinking about beating up on him for a few rounds, and then maybe taking on Martinez. And Team Martinez, Lou DiBella, he's okay with that as long as he gets some step aside money. So it's all about the money for Lou. he's got a new hot girlfriend now he's hanging out with. So, money's important to him. So, that's that. And the WBC all of a sudden is sitting around with, the troll man, Jose Sulaiman, wondering, what happened, man? What happened? I thought we were in control of boxing, man. What happened? All of a sudden our own champions are spitting on us. Maybe it's the cheap belt manufacturer they use. Maybe they should, change manufacturers. Maybe if they produced a quality belt, people would want to fight for it more. But I love it. I love this. I hope that both Sergio Martinez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. make a deal to fight after they each fight another fight and say, later for you, WBC, and fight for who cares about the belt? Who cares about the belt? The WBC could be in a position where they strip both of them. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine if the WBC turns around because they didn't get their way, they didn't get any sanctioning fees? Could you imagine if they turn around and they strip Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and they laid a guilt trip on him and his father? Because, come on, man, that's where the marriage was made, right? So they strip him because he didn't kiss their ass. And then they turn around and strip Sergio Martinez, just for the hell of it, because they like stripping Martinez. All of a sudden they have two open belts. I wonder who's going to get it. Who's the number one guys, So it's kind of funny, man. It's kind of funny. I'll tell you what's real funny is these fighters that keep getting hurt. It was reported yesterday, or actually the day before, I missed it. But the last-minute sub, Fernando Beltran Jr., is going to be now he's going to be taking on Diego Magladeno in Showtime's Friday Night Fights, or I'm sorry, Showbox, the New Generation, Friday night. Talk about last-minute sub. That's not good for Magladeno. It's a 10-round super featherweight bout. It's the main event, and now it's going to be Fernando Beltran Jr. Against Magladeno. Is anything going to change? Do you think he's got a chance? I mean, he's got a record of 36 wins, 7 losses, and a draw. 20 of his W's come by knockout. He's from Mexico. Both of these guys are southpaws. Magladeno's 21-0 with only 7 knockouts. I didn't think he looked too impressive in his last outing, but we'll have to wait and see what happens in this one. Antonio DeMarco and Jorge Linares, I guess they're going to be fighting a rematch in July. It was a ordered rematch, which is another comical thing, in my opinion. But, how do you order a rematch after that fight? Unless there was a rematch clause in the contract, that's something, but which most likely was the case. But, Antonio DeMarco, he was the guy that Jorge Linares was supposed to beat the snot out of, Remember Manny Stewart saying he was the greatest boxer you've ever seen, Jorge Linares? Remember HBO praising this guy? I was throwing up. I had a barf bag next to me for about the first 7 or 8 rounds, and all of a sudden they got quiet, and Antonio DeMarco started stepping it up a little bit. And then Jorge Linares, his face looked like chopped meat, bleeding all over the place. And then ultimately the fight was over. DeMarco becomes the new champion. So isn't it kind of ironic that they're also going to be meeting again in this one? And the thing is that we knew it was going to happen because it's a good money fight for both fighters. But the way they're wording it is that it was an ordered rematch. The sanctioning body ordered the rematch. And, this is all providing that Linares wins. He's fighting, I think is it this weekend or next weekend? Next weekend. And he's taking on Sergio Thompson in a comeback fight. So as long as he gets done with that one, then these two guys are going to fight. And here's the thing: they're looking about fighting possibly on the undercard, and the winner, I guess, of I'm talking about Chad Dawson and Bernard Hopkins. The winner of that fight is hopefully going to be fighting Nathan Cleverly. That's a whole nother issue going on. But and I don't know why I brought that one up. But Antonio DeMarco and Jorge Linares in July, if Linares wins next week. So I was telling you guys earlier, this is why, because I looked at this. The WBO refused to sanction Nathan Cleverly's upcoming fight with Robin Krasniqi. Now, Robin Krasniqi has a decent record, according to the WBO. They say, listen, he's got a good record on paper, but he's not that good. And the WBO, they're pissed off because when they signed for Nathan Cleverly to fight Tommy Carpenter, the stipulation was that he got to have that fight and that the WBO sanctioned it. They let it be a world title defense. But they said that that's the only one they're going to do, that the next fight, which is this one that's supposed to be scheduled, has to be against their number one ranked contender, who's Dmitry Skudahosky, who's a Russian fighter. And that's the fighter they want Nathan Cleverly to fight. Now, his promoter, Warren, is saying, Frank Warren. I always get the two Franks mixed up. Frank Warren said, come on, man. I wanted to have a world title fight at this venue. I'm hoping that, this Krasniqi's a good fighter. Look at his record. We want to have a world title fight against Krasniqi, and then we want to fight the winner of Bernard Hopkins, Chad Dawson, numero dos. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there. But who's right in this case? I mean, who's the better fighter? Sukahosky, Sukatowski, whatever. Who's a better fighter? Listen, they are the ones that put the value on the WBO, and I'm saying they, meaning, Team Cleverly, Frank Warren and everyone. They're the ones that put the value on the WBO. So really, they got to listen to them. And what makes me laugh sometimes is that we're critical of these sanctioning bodies when they mandate these obscure, fights that become a mandatory title defense. And we're like, who's this guy? Where did this guy come from? And, here it appeared that Cleverly was going to fight at least a guy that we've heard of, and a guy that has a good record on paper. He's only 24 years old. He's got 37 wins, 2 losses. That's it. I mean, on paper, the guy looks pretty damn good. But we all know what that looks like. But anyway, I started talking about this. We got the English invasion going on in the chat room, so I'll give him some English boxing news, or I should say UK boxing news. Ashley Theophane, one of the most underrated fighters in the sport, I think, was added to the undercard of the David Price against Sam Sexton card that's taking place in Liverpool in May 19th, to be exact. David Price and Sam Sexton are fighting for the vacated British heavyweight title, which is the one I believe Tyson Fury vacated when he decided to become a world-ranked fighter. And on the undercard now, we got Ashley Theophane against Steve Williams. Steve Williams is, they call him the Walsley Express. I'm afraid to pronounce it because even though it looks pretty simple in English, you know how these Brits speak. Who the hell knows what they mean? It looks like the Walsley Express. And this is a guy that won a regional title against Carl Place last year. And he was looking for a fight against Lenny Dawes. Well, he beat the hell out of Lenny Dawes. Lenny Dawes is actually on this card as well in a British title elimination against Adel Anwar, who just came off a big win. Anwar was a guy that I thought, wasn't he in the prize fighter or something? But anyway, it looks like a pretty good card. It's at the Aintree. Did I say that one right? Anyway, Ashley Theophane, love this kid. Wish him all the best for that. But anyway, just a quick reminder, Saturday night, tune in. LDL TV is also going to be streaming it on LDLTV.com and Ustream.com, The French Invasion. That's right, I'm going to be calling the action live from Macon, Georgia, beginning at 6:45. The first fight starts at 7, so make sure you tune into that. It's also going to be on a lot of other websites, so check your favorite website and see if it's going to be streaming there. But listen, I got to take a break. When I come back, Daxx Khan, I think he's awake now.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes,
even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing Apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TALKINBOXING.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out their ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What? We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, then you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want it right now. That's right. 10 p.m. Eastern Time every night. It's Fight Night on Fight Now. You need to add it to your sports channel lineup. Give them a call. All the information about the channel and the site is on their website, www.fightnow.com. Speaking of now, joining us all the way from wherever the hell he's living now, Daxx Khan. What's up, brother?
Hi, how you doing, Bill?
Not too bad.
How's every Fight Now audience doing?
Hopefully.
I just want to know that I've been a little bit insubordinate today. Must have been something. I got into the Billy's Floyd Mayweather Jr. Kool-Aid, so I haven't been thinking straight, so I owe him an apology.
I didn't drink any of his Kool-Aid. I even put the poll question up: who's the better fighter, him if they would have fought, Sugar Ray Robinson or Floyd Mayweather Jr. I'm just dying. I want to see all the Mayweather fans got to come out and cast their vote. That's all they got to do.
I know, but you did vote, that you picked Robinson. But on a side note, I love you, Floyd. That so that tells me what you're thinking.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I'm telling you, that's all you've been talking about lately is Floyd Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather. I don't know if you're obsessed with this guy or what, Billy. I just never thought it would happen. At first, when it started happening, I thought it was going to be something brief, and now it's become a daily ritual.
That's because of the listeners. If you recall, and the same thing, I got to constantly shut the he/she up that we got in the chat room and David Allen. The thing is I read what the listeners and viewers ask about. They talk about Floyd Mayweather. That's why he's on our lips all the time. If it was up to me, I wouldn't. I can't. You know how I feel about him. Come on, man. I'm not going to take anything away from him talent-wise, but I can't stand the guy. On a personal note. But I don't. Hey. We'll talk about whatever, and that's what they want to talk about. So, hey, let's talk about this. Sergio Martinez beat Matthew Macklin on Saturday night, St. Paddy's Day. You were there. Tell us about the atmosphere. It looked, well, I got to be honest. It looked like the Madison Square Garden was filled with a bunch of drunken Irish people. Is that the case? Was that what was happening?
No, it was actually, there was a great crowd there. Everybody was, there was a lot of course, it was St. Patrick's Day. Of course, there's going to be a lot of Irish people there, but there was a lot of supporters. There was just a lot of good fight fans there, period. I don't know what you would do. That's right. I forgot your bedtime's usually about 6 p.m. So anyway, if you were up at that time, you'd have seen me tweeting on our Talking Boxing Twitter account, and you would have seen me on our Talking Boxing with Billy C Facebook page, where I was putting on there that both men had a strong representation of fans for each. It was a good fight. I really enjoyed it. The whole card was actually good. So, but that was a great fight, and I think people are being a little too harsh on Sergio.
Well, some of the people are saying that they didn't really think that card, was HBO Championship boxing material. Considering that they try to put that one little half a notch below a pay-per-view on the championship show. They have the HBO Boxing After Dark, which is, more like it. What do you think about that? Specifically the La Bamba and the Bomb undercard, the co-main event. I mean, that was an ESPN fight, right?
Yeah, that was a little bit. I was disappointed in that. Anybody logs onto our website www.billycboxing.com can see even in my title, my ringside coverage, it says the La Bamba and George disappoint. And something. Yes, I agree totally that was more of a Friday Night Fights main event, but that fight had the potential to be a main event on anywhere, because both those guys, when they go at it, and both of them are really good knockout artists. Both of them have great power, but for some reason, Edwin La Bamba, after all his build-up and after all his talk and all his promises and what he was going to do to Don George, didn't follow through with anything. So it was a giant letdown, a big letdown. And yeah, at least if Edwin had boxed brilliantly, you could say, okay, he's going at it in a different way. He's fighting smart, but he fought boring. He fought like he just didn't want to engage. He fought too safe, if that makes any sense. So it was very disappointing. As far as the Martinez-Mackler fight, I thought it was a pretty good fight. I think people are a little bit harsh on Sergio. I was laughing during the thing. I was looking at the Twitter, and Steve Kim, as every round is going on, Steve Kim is tweeting, well, Sergio's down to 3 or 4 pound for pound now. Another round will come by, and, well, Sergio's at 6 or 7 pound for pound now. And, it's every round where Sergio just kind of laid back, his stock was really plummeting. It was amazing how fast everybody just jumped off the Sergio Martinez bandwagon, everybody but the 2 people there holding Argentinian flags.
Well, the problem with Sergio is, and I was saying this to Alex yesterday, it almost seems like he gets bored in there, and whether he's purposely trying to wait to come on and finish his opponents off at the end or what. But let's make no mistake. I mean, first of all, I think Sergio Martinez is a very good fighter, borderline great, whatever. Based on today's standards, I guess he's great. I think he's great for the sport. I love his ethnic, the way his work ethic, I should say, not ethnic, ethic. He works very hard. You yourself have told me, his training camps are like it's like going into the boot camp. And he's such a nice guy. I mean, everything is what we want. We want everything that he is as a champion. But, he also, in his last couple of fights, he's been, like everyone does, and I'm not going to say Floyd doesn't or Manny doesn't either, because they both do, but, they're picking opponents that's going to make them look good. How good is Sergio if he's fighting these flat-footed guys that run out of gas after 8?
I really don't think he's picking the opponents on, because Sergio Martinez has made it clear so many times he wants a big fight with one of these big names, and he wants only the best. So the rest of it, as you always, make a good job in mentioning, the rest of it's due to the promoter, that's the promoter's job. So Sergio can only fight who gets in front of him. Unfortunately, the last couple of times they have put in guys in there who not only are they flat-footed, one-dimensional fighters, but they seem to go in there with survival mode. And it's funny that, as before, as I was causing my insubordination in our chat room when you were sitting there saying, well, I wasn't awake when I was saying, Sergio is talking about Floyd being a counterpuncher. He doesn't like that fast pace, as most counterpunchers don't, because it doesn't give him an opportunity. Sergio Martinez is one of those guys, and I was talking to Otis Griffin on our Facebook page, and he was saying about Sergio Martinez he's looking right now at this point in his career to be too overly impressive when he's in there. So that's why he goes in there and he looks like a deer with the headlight in his eyes. he doesn't seem like he knows what he wants to do those early on. He sees these guys, they're covering up, and there's nothing there for him to counterpunch, and there's no openings for him to get in there. And not only does he want to get in there and win, but he wants to look sensational on top of it because, hey, Sergio's a bright guy. He knows. He's 37 years old. His window is short for a mega fight with one of these guys, whether it be Manny, whether it be Floyd, or even Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And if he doesn't impress everybody, he's more than likely not going to get that mega payday, so he wants every win to look sensational. The problem is, if Sergio would let his hands go, just fight and beat Sergio Martinez early from the second round and third round, and you know what? You're going to look spectacular anyway, and all they're going to see is a spectacular version of Sergio Martinez, and there's nothing that this guy can do, whether he was a tough, flat-footed fighter, whether he was a fleet-footed boxer. They can do nothing but sit there and cover up and hope that they can weather the Sergio Martinez storm. But, you know, when Sergio gets going, that storm never ends.
Yeah, but, you know, you take a guy with some hand speed, and, you know I promised these guys in the chat room I wasn't going to mention his name, but let's do it anyway. Floyd Mayweather. And you put Floyd.
Wow, I haven't talked about him in seconds.
Yeah, I know, in seconds. Haven't talked about him in at least 3 seconds. Floyd Mayweather beats Martinez because he's going to counterpunch him to death. You know, and although Sergio Martinez likes to counterpunch, his style and keeping his hands down is not going to work against a guy with the hand speed of Mayweather. You know, I mean, it's just not. And you know what? Nothing for nothing, but I think Chavez Jr., if he can weather the storm of taking a few shots, which I think he can, I think if Chavez Jr. gets in close on Sergio, I think the body work slows Sergio down. And if you slow Sergio down and you slow him down a step or two, you might be able to catch up with him. I have a feeling that if that fight happens, Chavez Jr. and Martinez, I think Chavez Jr. is going to do a much better showing than people are even thinking.
You know, when you talk about Chavez Jr. in that, and that's another thing, that's, you know, sit there and keep sending people over to www.billycdoxing.com because, you know, it's a great website. But anyway, if you go over and you check out my article on there, that's one of the things where I mentioned, that was one of the last things I mentioned on my coverage for that fight card was that, you know, if he goes in there and he tries and plays this waiting game with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., that's going to be disaster for him, not only because is Jr. getting better, in my opinion, but he's so darn big. How can, you know, you're not going to, I don't think you're going to knock that kid out with one punch. He's not Paul Williams. You know, he doesn't have that thin frame. Julio is a big kid all around, you know, big, bulky. He's tall. He's got the extra weight on him. And, you know, you can't stand there and just try and pot shot him. That's not going to work. So I agree. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., at this point in time, at this venture, if Sergio Martinez fights like he did with the Barker fight and the Macklin fight, yeah, Junior beats him, and that in no way means that Junior's as good as a fighter as Martinez. It just means that, you know, if Martinez goes about it in this same type of approach as he has his last two fights, he's not going to be able to do it. It's not going to happen.
No, and the size is going to be a big difference. And
exactly.
Marky,
and like I was saying, that's the major part of it. You know, he's just so big, you can't hurt him, and you're not going to get him out with one shot. You got to stay busy on him from the go.
Marky Mark just made a comment. He says, Floyd Mayweather Jr., is he exciting? Please. You know, no, I never said that. I think that Mayweather happens to be a boring fighter. You know, I mean, I can't stand watching him fight, you know, because he is so boring. I don't know why people love him so much. But anyway, let's move on. We had another fight that was supposed to showcase a young Randy Caballero. We know Randy well. I know you've done interviews with him. He's been on the show a few times.
Great kid.
You know, great up-and-comer and everything else. He fought Jose Luis Arrazia, and Arrazia looked like it was going to be a short night after the first and second round, even into the third round, but then something changed. And I saw Randy Caballero just not being able to put more than two punches together. His corner was yelling at him in a sense, and he ended up winning a lopsided decision. But still, what did the fight mean to you?
That just meant, as we were talking about in the chat room before, I forget exactly what the topic was, but was talking about in there where that just means that, you know, he's had that's right, we were talking about Nathan Cleaverly. He's had too careful of handling, because what happens is Randy has been getting so used to getting in there with these guys that will make him look good, give him just enough resistance for the crowd to get into it, for the crowd to get exciting, but there's never intentionally enough in there to really push him, test him, and put him in any danger. And he ran into a guy that, you know what, they thought the same thing. The guy didn't go nowhere. The guy didn't go down. Randy was like a fish out of water, kind of sitting there like, wait a minute. This isn't how it was supposed to play out. I was supposed to come in, supposed to look sensational, hit this guy, he's supposed to fall. And then, you know, you can't prepare for something like that, even in the gym, unless you're used to it, or as you were talking about before, adversity. And he's never been in that situation, even though, yeah, he wasn't in adversity, but he didn't have the guy falling like he was so used to.
No, listen, that's why young fighters fight these kinds of guys, you know. And the other thing that people forgot, which, you know, when I did the breakdown, I didn't even realize it, to be honest with you, but Arazia had fought out of his weight class for his last 3 or 4 fights, and so he had lost over 50 pounds, and you know, came in really the best shape of his life. So maybe that had something to do with it. On Friday,
used to taking punches from bigger guys too.
Yeah, well, there you go. You know, and he did get rocked though. Caballero rocked him a couple of times, but it looked like Caballero couldn't get away from the right hand. Every time Ariaza threw that right hand, it landed like right on the cheek of Caballero, and I was saying to myself, why can't this kid defend against that? It wasn't like coming at him at, you know, blazing warp speed or anything. I mean, it was kind of like a combination. It was almost like an overhand right. It was not quite fully over, but it was thrown in between like a hook and an overhand, if you know what I mean. I mean, it was weird. It was a weird punch that he couldn't get out of the way of. But on Friday,
like I said, it wasn't in the script for him, you know. Randy he's not at that point in his career, and he's not experienced enough as a professional to be able to adapt and to be able to deal with punches or style changes that he's not familiar to mid-bout. You know, he's still at that stage where he has to plan carefully the type of opponent that he's coming in there with and look for what that opponent's big tool or big offensive weapon is, and already be prepared for that in the gym by the time the bell rings. So he's not at that point in his career yet where he's ready to do mid-fight adjustments, even though he should be, considering Randy had a long, impressive amateur career. So again, bad handling. There's times where, you know what, yes, you got to bring your fighter up slowly. You got to build his confidence in him. But you know something, if you give it too light, that's just as bad as throwing it to the wolves. You can't let the guy in there too easy for too long, because once he gets in there with somebody, as we were just talking about, when it comes time to deal with the situation of you can't get him out of there and you can't dominate, you're a fish out of water, and chances are you're going to get beat. And you know what? That blows all the work and the confidence that your team has put in up until that point. So hopefully next time they throw him in a little better, because I think Randy Caballero really does have the goods to be a star in the sport, not only physically, but he's a A-class kid too, works with a lot of the youth in his area, very anti-gang, anti-drug orientated. So he's the type of star that this sport needs in the future.
Kendall Holt, a guy that for some reason is grossly underrated in our sport. I don't know why. You know, people really write him off all the time. They wrote him off Friday night, you know, last Friday night, and he came in, and not only did he win, he basically beat the snot out of Tim Coleman. Tim Coleman looked like his mind was elsewhere. He didn't have the heart to go on. A listener had sent us an email. I never really found out if it was true, if it wasn't true or anything. I'm going to take his word for it, but he said that, or she said, I forget, it might have been a female, said that broke up with his girlfriend just prior to this fight, and it had something to do with it. What's your thoughts on Kendall Holt? What's your thoughts on Tim Coleman, and where do they both go from here?
First of all, this is not a sport. This is not the job that you have. This is not a job, period, that you can come in that say, oh, well, I had a bad day before. I had a bad day today, so this is why that happened. I'm sorry. One bad day in this sport, we know, can cost people a career. So I don't want to hear your girlfriend, you broke up with this. I don't care if your dog died, you stubbed your toe. I don't care if your favorite sneakers went out of style. There's no excuses. When it comes time for that bell to ring, you got to go in there and do your job 100%. This is why you have 6- and 8-week training camps. Tim Coleman went in there. He tasted a few Kendall Holt's punches, and he, as you know, Tim Coleman, after his last couple losses, been knocked we've been seeing him slip anyway, and this was just another fight where he was hoping that Kendall Holt was shot. Once he realized Kendall Holt wasn't shot, he lost his will to fight right then and there. And Kendall Holt came back, and Kendall Holt motivated. I think Roy Jones might have motivated him greatly because Kendall has been fairly inactive the last couple of years. And I agree with you 100%. He is so underrated. Look at Kendall's resume. He's only lost to top guys. And his fights with Ricardo Torres were great fights. They were wars. So I don't understand why he is written off so easily. I have to agree 100%. I think if Kendall Holt comes back, Kendall Holt is motivated. Kendall Holt's in the gym full time. The 140-pound division's got some problems.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Well, he's a guy that fights, kill or be killed, and when he goes out, his fights usually end quick or he loses close decisions. I mean,
I thought he killed Tim Bradley. When they fought in that early flash knockdown where Bradley just hit his back, I stood up. I'm like, oh my God, he's dead.
Didn't he knock him? Bradley what's his name? Knock down Bradley. Didn't Kendall Holt knock down Bradley twice in that fight? Didn't he go down in early and then again late?
It was. I don't remember off the top of my head if he did late. It was that first early knockdown that came out of nowhere. It was more of a flash knockdown, but if you remember when Kendall caught him, Tim just fell back, and for about 2 seconds he didn't move, he didn't do nothing, and then he went to rush to get up, and Timothy composed himself. That's when we really seen a flash of glimpse of greatness coming out, and Tim Bradley started to get up, he composed himself, stopped down, he took a knee, and we all know how the rest of the fight went there. But yeah, Kendall Holt really rocked him and shook him up. But that's what I'm talking about. If Kendall Holt can go in there, give a guy like Tim Bradley, rock him, shake him up a hard time, I don't know where people are just overlooking Kendall Holt other than the inactivity. So if Kendall Holt comes back, like I said before, and leave it at that. He comes back, he's motivated, he comes back to do his job. There's a lot of people in that 140-pound division, including Lamont Peterson and any of the other champions, that, you know what, stay away from Kendall Holt for a little while, especially if he's motivated. Don't believe me? Ask Ricardo Torres. Ask Tim Bradley.
Hey, listen, we're running out of time. Let's hear your boxing weekend rundown. What should everyone be looking to watch this weekend?
All right, starting off in Italy on Sport Italia 2, promoter Mario Loreni hosts an event with some very promising upcoming prospects and an EBU welterweight championship bout in the bill. Unbeaten EBU welterweight champion Leonard Bundu brings his 25-0 record along with that belt to defend against fellow unbeaten Antonio Moscatiello. 10-0 heavyweight Matteo Modungo will be in action along with 11-0 junior welterweight Orlando Fiordigilio and 12-0 junior welterweight Paolo Lazzari. All those mentioned will be names for boxing fans to keep their ears out for in the future, because they're all going to be, if not champions, they're going to be top-level contenders, and the best time to see them is now as they're coming up. So if you can get that in there, tune in. Obviously, ESPN Friday Night Fights, Warriors Boxing is airing their event with welterweight action, headlining as Roberto Garcia takes on the tough Antoine Smith. Love Antoine Smith as a fighter. He always gives it his all, and every time he throws that punch, he throws in that big That's the only part about Antoine Smith I can't stand. But both those guys are just shy of being contenders in the world-class level, but both men always put on exciting fights. They might steal the weekend with their matchup. Hard-hitting 154-pound upcomer Tyrone Brunson, who's 21-1 with 20 of those wins by KO, takes on fellow prospect James De La Rosa. What makes that fight intriguing is both those fighters, Brunson and De La Rosa, were headed really for an opportunity to face for one of the smaller world titles, and they both lost their last bout, so they're looking to prove something in this fight. They're looking to look sensational. They're looking to get right back on track. So that ESPN card, everybody has a lot to prove. Everybody's looking to step up and become a future star, and they all have a lot on the line. So everybody on that card is going to be giving it their all, 110%. On Showtime, Top Rank, of course, presents the most promising future stars of the era, headlining the unbeaten super featherweight Diego Magdaleno, defending his divisional NABF title against gatekeeper Fernando Beltran. What I really like about this card, Billy, is the fact that 6 other potential superstars, all with unbeaten, unblemished records thus far, were going to be in action. 11-0 welterweight Yordenis Ugas will battle fellow 11-0 welterweight Juan Garcia. 13-0 Andy Ruiz Jr. steps in for a heavyweight battle. Hard-hitting 15-0 flyweight Hansel Martinez faces Alex Rangel. And Martinez has won 12 of his 15 by stoppage. And 15-0 middleweight Abraham Hand will showcase his talents, as will unbeaten lightweights 13-0 Jose Roman and 12-0 Andrew Klimov. They're going to be in action in separate bouts. Showtime's batting 1,000 on that card for certain once again. That shows why Showtime is starting to surpass everybody when it comes to the quality and the top network that broadcasts fights. In Mexico Saturday night on Mexico Azteca Television, Xanafer Promotions has a hot world title fight. Those of you out there who like the little guys will not want to miss. WBA flyweight champion Hernan Marquez defends his belt against former title holder Rodel Mayol. Both fighters have the ability to bring crowds to their feet, and in against each other, you're going to find yourself standing in the living room yelling at the TV, so that's a must-see fight for certain. And Saturday night, if you don't have a DVR, go out and get one today, because there's 2 cards televised that no boxing fan is going to want to miss or should miss. First, of course, is the big card on HBO with Golden Boy Promotions in their stacked event. The WBC light welterweight champion and living legend Eric Morales can defend his belt against the hungry, unbeaten Danny Garcia. James Kirkland faces Carlos Molina in what I think is going to be a big test for Kirkland, who, unless gets Molina out of there early, more than likely, I think he's going to lose the decision. And then the return of boxing to mainstream TV. Main Events has a card that's going to be aired on NBC TV. Zab Judas taking on Dangerous Vernon Paris. Sergey Likovich and Tomas Adamek are going to be in heavyweight action in separate bouts. Hard-hitting 20-0. Cruiserweight Santos Salgado is going to be in action. 18 of those 20 have come by knockout. Super middleweight Curtis Showtime Stevens and welterweight Vinny O'Brien will be in action as well. We could be seeing something really big if everybody on that card, Billy, just gets 100% and they get all the not so much diehard boxing fans, but the casual boxing fans really interested in what they do by performing well that night. And this might be the start of, some big fights again back on basic mainstream network TV. Just dare to think in 5 more years from now, it can be just like it was back in the 70s and early 80s, ABC Wide World of Sports. How do you know the fight's a big-time fight? Because it's on ABC. Maybe NBC can follow up, and something, boxing fans and boxing can be rejuvenated, not having to pay $60 for these big pay-per-view cards. It's a good fight, good weekend of fights, in my opinion. A lot of fights to choose from, a lot of interesting and intriguing matchups going on for some of the reasons that I mentioned.
Yeah, no, great job. No doubt. There is a lot of cards. You forgot one important one. You forgot the one that everybody should be tuning into, and that's Saturday night. The one I'm doing from Macon, Georgia, man. We got the household name, Frank Haroche Horta. Yeah, come on, you've heard of him, against Grady Brewer. So they should watch that and DVR all the other ones, because I don't think you can DVR webcast.
You know I'm going to be watching that, because of course obviously when we watch that, and when you're on we're on the Twitter talking boxing and getting everything going on, and you always do a great job when you do your announcing. No, I don't have anything brown on my face to wipe off, David Allen, so don't even bother typing it in. Yeah, so that's always great when you guys do that. When you did your one in Chicago and stuff, what I found myself doing during the Amanda Serrano Ilya Nunes fight is I'm watching that on the computer, and then I'm glimpsing over at the TV screen at the same time. So, as I said, this is a great weekend for boxing fans. Period. All around, there's going to be something to watch everywhere. And anybody out there says, I don't know what I want to watch, just remember the week before last and then 2 weeks before that, when you were sitting in your living room looking for something to watch on TV, and you seen something called boxing in your little cable guide. When you turned it on, there was nothing but crickets sitting on a couch, because that's how boring the sport was for those 2 weeks. This is a great week. Appreciate it. Suck it up. Love it. And we got big things to come in the next few weeks to follow.
Hey, one last thing before we let go. There's the co-main event for the NBC Sports fight that's taking place Saturday. Sergey Lukaevich is taking on Bryant Jennings. Now, Bryant Jennings was the kid who kind of stepped in for when Chambers backed out of the Lukaevich fight the first time and fought and won as the main event on their inaugural show. How do you think Jennings is going to do against Lukaevich this weekend?
Lukaevich hasn't been impressive in a long time. Lukaevich is a guy that just kind of floats around out there. I don't even know if he knows what he's doing. So I'm not really sure exactly how good of shape he's going to come in. And if he doesn't come in top shape and he's coming in a hostile territory in Brooklyn, New York, he's going to get beat, you know? So Jennings, I wouldn't call it an upset if Jennings wins.
You wouldn't call it an upset if Jennings wins?
No, I would not. Like I said, what has Sergey Laevich done in the last... You know, the White Wolf has turned gray. He's been sitting on the shelf for so long.
Right.
And he's done nothing. He's done nothing impressive. So for all we know, Sergey Laevich has had to, you know, drop 80 pounds for this, you know, and sitting in the steam rooms, and he could be in the worst shape of his life. I mean, that's just an assumption, of course. But if he is not in 100% tip-top shape, and again, coming into a hostile territory, and the fact that Laevich has not done anything significant, even in a weak heavyweight division that we have right now, he hasn't fought anybody worth a mention. So, yeah, one little slip-up, he's not 100%. Even if he is 100%, I think at this point in his career, it really would not be an upset if Jennings beat him. That's my opinion.
If Jennings keeps his hands going, I think he's got a good chance. If not, the power factor, I think. But, you know, this damn chat room, you know, I wrote the word peacock, because I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to make a point to Dave Murphy, and I wrote the word peacock, and they blocked.
Well, that's, yeah, I wrote in before when you were talking about Jose Sulaiman and stuff like that, and over there and the Don. I just started getting this image of, I don't know, anybody out there watches Family Guy, and they come in the house one night and there's these giant cockroaches sitting on the couch with knives, and they're like, I cut you, man. Yeah. And so I wrote on there, I'm like, yeah, you know, this thing with Jose Sulaiman and the WBC sounds like the Family Guy part with the giant cockroaches on the couch. I cut you, man. And they just bleeped out the cockroaches part on there, because I'm like, wow, this thing is really PG-8, because everybody knows what cockroaches are, at least, you know, has heard of them before, and he just bleeped them out. So
yeah, the word peacock only said P, and then they bleeped out the rest of it. So
and mine said roaches, and it just kind of like, you know, takes away from the quality of the joke, you know, just kind of bleeped out. It just isn't funny anymore. So yeah, we'll have to tweak that around today, and, you know, you're going to have to punch in some sort of ID when you log onto the chat room, see if you're over 18, and then you can come in and you can see the peacock version of what Billy C has to say.
There you go. Dax, great job. We'll look forward to you next week, my man.
All right, everybody have a good weekend. Watch some fights this week. Make sure you tune in or log on to www.billycboxing.com for the latest from Austin Kylene, the weekend roundup, and, of course, go on there and start clicking the Hall of Fame posters. Start making your plans now. November's going to be here before everybody knows it, and we got some great stuff coming up that nobody is going to want to miss out on. So start making your plans now, because last minute, and if you talk to anybody who was there last year, they're going to tell you, you're going to be sorry if you miss it this year. And you know what? Don't be sorry. Be safe. Give yourself an early Christmas present. See you at the Hall of Fame. Click the banner. Talk to everybody next week.
Sounds good, my man. Take care. That's Daxx Khan, lead writer for BillyCBoxing.com. And yeah, you want to see my girl Kat, right? Well, you know, if you're going to come to the Hall of Fame, you're going to see Kat. But just remember, she's my girl.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing with Billy C.
The 2012 Summer Olympic Games unfold in 5 months in London. The honor and the history of playing host goes back a long way. How long? That's next on Sports Shorts with me, the Sports Princess.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Legend has it that the Olympics go back to Hercules, but let's leave Greek mythology out of it. The modern games opened in 1896. Since Athens couldn't afford to put them on, a businessman ponied up the coin. pole vaulting, weightlifting, shot put, and swimming, few of the handful of events. Since those days, some of the original sports remain. Others come and go, depending on the whims of the International Olympic Committee. Australia, France, Germany, and China have hosted summer games, and this will be the third time for London. As for the Winter Games, the U.S. has hosted them 4 times since they started in 1924 in France, featuring sports like alpine cross-country skiing, figure skating, and such. Between the summer and the Winter Games, there are hundreds of sports and thousands of athletes. You never know what city is going to get a crack at hosting next. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the number 1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
Sweet Susie Q, she was a rebel. No angel wings, more like the devil. She was so hot, so cool and nasty. Believe it or not, here's what she asked me. If you need love with no condition.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you got to call your local television provider. And I don't care if it's cable or satellite dish. Give them a call and tell them that you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and give them a call. Tell them, I want Fight Now right now. Every night is Fight Night on Fight Now, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out their website for the information about the channel and about what's going to be shown tonight at 10 p.m. www.fightnow.com. A couple of news tidbits I want to get to real quick. European light heavyweight champ Edward Gutnick, 23 wins, 1 loss, 9 of his W's come by knockout. He's making a European title defense next weekend against Tony Averlant. And Tony Averlant is 17-5-2. So we'll see what happens. It's on a Sauerland show, and we'll see what's up there. Also, super middleweight champion James DeGale. He's scheduled to make a mandatory European defense on April 21st. You know, so I'm just laughing at Dax's subliminal message to me, and I agree with him what he just said. Nobody else knows, but you know we communicate sometimes like that. And on April 21st, like I said, James DeGale is going to be making his defense against Christian Sanavia, who I think is going to give him a good fight, to tell you the truth. Sanavia's 45 wins, 5 losses and a draw. I mean, the guy's got 51 pro fights, 13 knockouts. And James DeGale, come on, man, let's be real. I mean, listen, all kidding aside, you know, we got the British invasion in the chat room, and I know that they like James DeGale. I like James DeGale, you know, an Olympian fighter, all that stuff. But come on, man. This guy's not tested. He's got the loss. No, everybody thought that that loss wasn't going to be a loss, you know. And I think he's in another tough one. What do you guys think? You know, what do you think? DA's too busy with his cucumbers and whatever else he's got going on. He's making a salad over there. But anyway, Darley Perez returns in April, first week, as a matter of fact. Here's a guy that's ranked in the top 12 by all the sanctioning bodies, all the major 5 anyway. He's in the lightweight division. All right, one Brit. Sorry, man. Sorry. I for the first time in weeks, we have predominantly United States people in the chat room, but generally I'm giving, hey, my loyalties with all these Brits because they're in here every day. You know, I kid my man David Allen all the time, but the guy is the most loyal guy we got. He's the only one. That's because he likes to listen live. He doesn't want to pay the $15 for the podcast. But he says, and listen, David Allen knows his stuff, and he says DeGale's not looking good. I think he's in a tough fight, man. That's why I mentioned it against Savannah. I think that's a tough fight for him, you know. But anyway. Darley Perez, you know, how good is he? Well, we'll see. He's fighting April 6th He's going to be taking on Elaine Hernandez, who's a marginal fighter, 18-9-1, But anyway, Coach K is wondering what's going on in here. A couple of fights I wanted to mention. Also, I said it yesterday. I'm going to say it again. Leave Juanma alone. This guy has, and I'm not a big Juanma fan, so let's get that on the table right now. I'm not a big Juanma fan. I think he was exposed. I said he was overrated from day one. I think Bob Arum, the more commonly known as the Devil, I think that he made a huge mistake by not putting him in with Gamboa. He was pushing the envelope too much. Now he loses Gamboa. Juanma's a dribbling fool. Can't even sign his own name anymore. No, I don't know about that. But the bottom line is Juanma's value has plummeted worse than our economy here in the United States. And and so what do? They stick him up on a stage, and they basically make him apologize. He's going to have to apologize to every media outlet to try to right the ship to referee Roberto Ramirez, which I think is BS. The kid shouldn't have been interviewed. He was knocked out. Anybody that knows the sport knows that his faculties weren't 100%. They should have never put him on the air. He wouldn't have made those outlandish allegations, whether they were true or not. That's the sad part. The truth of the matter is they're probably true. The truth comes out just like when you're drunk, right? After you get knocked out a little bit, you may not know what day it is, but everything you're saying might be true. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Juanma's suffered enough. They suspend him for a year. The WBO kicks him to the curb. He's got to stand up and apologize to the people of Puerto Rico. Come on, man. Come on. I think it's funny. But anyway, I think they should just leave him alone. This whole Chavez Jr. and Murray visa problems. Now Andy Lee is looking to fight Chavez Jr. And, oh, by the way, the WBC says, no. We ordered you guys to fight each other. You and Martinez got to fight each other. And if not, I'm stripping both of you guys. Yeah, right. WBC is, it just goes to show you when you reach a certain plateau, and let's be real, maybe this is a movement that's going to be good for the sport. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has proved it to us. Manny Pacquiao could get away with it if he wanted to. And, the high-end fighters, really, I guess those two. Klitschko could do it if he wanted. They don't need no stinking belt, man. They don't need it. Floyd Mayweather's going to make his money, his 10 to 12. No. Floyd Mayweather's going to make his 15, 20 million, whatever given quality says he makes. He's going to make his money no matter what. He doesn't need no stinking belt. He doesn't need to wear the sombrero backwards either. The bottom line is he's going to make his money. He doesn't need a belt. Is Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in that boat yet? I don't know. Maybe with the number of the Mexican fans he has, both Mexican Americans and regular old Mexicans. The bottom line is, he's got a big fan base. They pay to see him. Does he care about no stinking belt? I'm sure he'll get a shot at another one. He's going to be moving up anyway. They could always look at it that way. Hey, well, we can't even fit into this middleweight tight anymore. So, I'm going to move up anyway. So you got that issue. You got Martinez. He could sell tickets whether he's a champ or not. If Lou decides to promote him a little. So I don't know, man. I think I like when the fighters flex their muscles back at the sanctioning bodies, and they say, "Screw you." The sanctioning bodies can only help the young fighter that's been coddled, and they give him a belt and they try to develop him with the belt, which is ridiculous, but that's how the networks work. So. I would feel nothing more. I don't know if I could feel any better than if Sergio Martinez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. each take an interim fight and then fight each other at the end of the year without the WBC belt on the line. I would love that. Especially since what's his name? Hey, Dave Murphy, don't mention that name even in our chat room. Come on, man. Come on. This guy was, he's a snitch. We don't need any snitches. We don't need even references to snitches. I don't want his name to come up in a search and give him a hit. Come on, man. Snitches, there's no room for a snitch. Not on this show. But anyway, he's got me all losing my train of thought. You know, I just think that the funny thing about that particular fight is each side is accusing the other, and I'm talking about Chavez Jr. and Martinez. You know, each fight is each fighter has accused the other one from ducking him or whatever. Well, I guess Chavez Jr. never really accused Martinez, but you know, said their schedule was too big. But could you imagine if they both decide to sign a deal and the WBC doesn't like it, they strip them, and the two guys end up fighting for no title, you know, and they do well. I love that. But I gotta say this. Dave Murphy must be thinking I'm a total idiot. He's right. I am an idiot because I was thinking. I thought he put the first name in there, but he's right. And they both have red hair. That's what made me laugh. But he's talking about George. He's talking about. I don't even want to mention the name, but and we were talking about the Galley, and his loss came at the hands of Georgie, you know, his last name. And that's how he was exposed. And when he wrote it real quickly and he referred to the color of the hair he has, I thought that my man Murph was talking about somebody else. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. You know, you got to laugh, Murph. You got to laugh. But anyway, earlier in the show I was talking about the Tampa Bay Warriors fight series. It's back. It's better than ever. And we're going to be involved with it. We're going to have our hand on the pulse of this series, and we're looking forward to it. My friend Johnny Boz was hired as the matchmaker, so I know that the fights are going to be very competitive. And the first one is back on track at the Tampa Convention Center May 12th, and it's the main event is going to feature one of my fighters, actually, Chevelle Halbach, Fist of Steel. Now, there's going to be a piece of history being made in Tampa on May 12th. It was supposed to be made back in on March 2nd, on Friday, March 2nd. But that fight never went off, as you guys understand. It was canceled at the last 15 minutes before we went on air, actually. The Florida State Athletic Commission shut the show down because there was a problem that resulted in the fact that the promoter, first-time promoter Jerry Estrada, did not have enough fights to put on the show legally, sanctioned fight. Therefore, they shut him down. And it was unfortunate. Now, most first-time promoters, when they get the bug, they think, they all get their hair cut like Don King, and they all start, opening up new bank accounts thinking they're going to be, needing several banks to hold all the money they're going to make. And generally what happens, 99 times out of 100, the guy loses their shirt or the gal loses her shirt, which we love to see sometimes. And, they walk away from the sport. They never do a show again. Well, this guy, I don't think anybody could have blamed him if he did just that. I mean, he lost, in my estimation, close to 50 big ones. And, instead of running and hiding, even the commission made an announcement, then scattered like a bunch of cockroaches. They said, hey, by the way, all you fighters and everybody, by commission law, the promoter is entitled to only pay you guys half of whatever the deals were. See ya. And then they split. About 15 minutes later, Jerry Estrada got to the podium, so to speak, and basically with checkbook in hand, and paid everyone their full purse. Every fighter that was scheduled on that card got paid in full. Every vendor that was there, that was set up, because remember, everybody set up, the beer, the food, all that stuff was already set up. They all got paid. The venue got paid. Everybody got paid. And he walked away with his head held high. And I thought it spoke a lot about his character. I became good friends with Jerry. I got to know him. We had dinner. We discussed the whole situation prior to and then obviously after the event. And this guy didn't want to give up, and this is a great indication of that. It was announced yesterday officially when all the papers were signed in terms of the venue and the date with the commission and everything else, May 12th. The Tampa Bay Warriors, it's his fight series, Tampa Bay Warriors. It's going to be back. The historical part of this show is the fact that no female main event has ever been on a professional boxing card in the state of Florida when there was male fighters on the card as well. So, yes, there's been a few all-female fight cards in Florida, and obviously the main event is a female fight. But when you have male and female fights on the same card, never in the state of Florida was the female the main event. Not only is Chevelle Fisted Steel Halbach going to be the main event on this card on May 12th, but it's going to be for a world title. Now, originally, when we were working on the deal, we had an opponent that was going to fight on the 2nd, and things couldn't come to agreement for her on the 12th. Actually, the show was originally scheduled for the 21st of April. So another fighter was signed to fight Chevelle. However, because this date was officially changed and moved to May 12th because of conflicts with the venue, now the original opponent may be back in the picture. So we don't know. We will know by the end of today. Unfortunately, you guys won't know until Monday when I come back and tell everyone. So that's the deal. Mark it down. Anybody that's looking to get tickets, we want to do a special thing because we're going to be there. If there's any Billy C. Boxing listeners, fans of the website, fans of the show, whatever, we'd like to put together a Billy C. get-together in Tampa, Florida for this week. Now, it's plenty of time. You got May 12th. Now, we will be broadcasting a weigh-in, and we will also, be doing the fight. Now, what I'd like to do is get a Billy C. get-together for the weigh-in, where we can all go and, have some dinner, have some drinks and stuff afterwards, and then cap it off with, VIP seating for all the Billy C. listeners for the show on Saturday night. So if you're interested in that, drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com. Billy C. get-together in Tampa, Florida. Even if you don't live in Tampa, what a great place to go in May. And we can all have some fun. We'll get together the night before the event, and then, of course, during the event. So if you're interested in that, it's May 12th. It's a Saturday. No reason why you can't do it. Anybody can fly into Tampa on Friday night and have a great time. We need a count. So if you're going to do this, let us know within the next 2 weeks, and we will organize it, VIP table, the whole nine, which is going to include service to the table and some other special stuff. You get access to the fighters and full access to the weigh-in, which is not going to be open to the public, but will be broadcast. So drop us an email, billy@talkinboxing.com, and in the subject line, put Tampa. Put Tampa Bay fights. Speaking of fights, this week we're not going to be breaking them down. I'm going to give you my picks for the fights right now. They will all be up. Now, we're going to have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 fights again. We were scheduled to have 11 last week, but it didn't work out because one got canceled and one ended in a draw, so we ended up with 9 added to our totals. And from what I know, I'm pretty much ahead of one guy, and that's David Allen. That's all I really care about, but... anyway, here's the thing, no particular order. Takalani Nadoluv is taking on Jeffrey Mathabula. It's going to be for the IBF Junior Featherweight title. And that's one of the fights. The other fight is Hernan Marquez versus Rodel Mayo. That's for the WBA Flyweight title. Sergey Lukaevich against Brian Jennings. That's a heavyweight fight. Jason Velez against Jose Baranza. That's a featherweight fight. In the junior welterweight division, Vernon Paris against Zab Judah. In the junior middleweight division, James Kirkland against Carlos Molina. On HBO, junior featherweight, Danny Garcia against Eric Morales. We got Moritz Wach against Ty Fields. That's a pay-per-view. Diego Magladeno against Fernando Beltran Jr. That's junior lightweight on Showtime. And ESPN's Friday Night Fights, Antoine Smith against Robert Garcia in a welterweight matchup. And on LDL TV, that's right, it's going to be streamed through LDLTV.com. It will be Frank Haroche Horta against Grady Brewer. Yours truly will be calling the action. Tune into that one. Would love to have you. Here's my picks, FYI. I'm picking Antoine Smith over Robert Garcia. I'm picking Diego Magladeno over Fernando Beltran. I'm picking Moritz Wach over Ty Fields. Picking Grady Brewer over Frank Haroche Horta. Danny Garcia over Eric Morales. James Kirkland over Carlos Molina. Vernon Paris over Zab Judah. Jason Velez over Jose Baranza. Bryant Jennings, I think he's going to outbox Sergey Lukaevich. Hernan Marquez, Little Tyson, he's going to beat Rodell Mayo probably in the fight of the week. And I'm picking Takalani Nadolov against Jeffrey Mathibula, which is another toss-up fight. I think those two fights are going to be the fights of the week. So those are my picks. Antoine Smith, Diego Magladeno, Maurice Wack, Danny Garcia, James Kirkland, Vernon Paris, Jason Velez, Hernan Marquez, Takalani Nadolov, Bryant Jennings, and Grady Brewer. Good luck to everyone except David Allen. I want everyone to win except David Allen. He's the only guy that we don't care much about him as far as winning the thing, the tournament, the challenge, the stuff. Yeah. Speaking of stuff, French Invasion. That's right. It's going to be live. Beginning at 7 p.m. The first fight, 7 p.m. We're going to go on the air 6:45 Eastern Time. Frank Haroche Horta, you just heard me say it, against Grady Brewer. It's going to be for the IBO Intercontinental Middleweight Championship. Now, it's going to be on a lot of websites. The streaming, it's going to be for free everywhere but France, I guess. And I don't know how they do that. But, if your website, you might want to check with your own website. They may have the stream, so check that out. If you can't find it there, you can get it on LDLTV. .com. You can also get it up on Ustream, so it's going to be available to you. Check it out. I'll be calling the action. And, the card on paper, if you look at the card on paper, you're going to see a lot of guys fighting with losing records. But what I like about it is that they're fighting each other with losing records. So a lot of times you'll see some entertaining fights. I think the card is going to be entertaining. If you're in the Macon, Georgia area, why don't you get some tickets and stop by and say hello to us at the table? I'll give anybody that comes and says hello a prize, and if I don't have enough left with me there, I will send you one, and I promise. I never go back on a promise. So do that. Don't forget about Billy C. Bucks. So if you're going to buy tickets to that fight or any of the other fights for this weekend, make sure you email copies of the tickets before you go to the event. Or fax them to us at 845-314-9612 and start earning Billy C. Bucks. You can use them for anything, including the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend, which is scheduled November 16th, 17th, and 18th. A couple other things I want you to remember. You can get tickets for the Chris Algieri fight at the Paramount Theater in Huntington, Long Island. It's scheduled for March 31st. You can get tickets right now by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com. Click the poster. That's right there for Chris Algieri. Tell him Billy C sent you and that you want a discount. And speaking of discounts, why don't you show up? Plan on showing up Sunday, April 1st, the first ever New York State Boxing Hall of Fame. It's going to be taking place in Long Island. And, you can get all the information by visiting the website, www.ring8ny.com. That's ring, the number 8, ny.com. Now, I plan on being there because my man, and he's a good friend, Harold Letterman, asked me to come by. He says, this really means a lot to me. This induction means a lot to me. I'd love to have people come out and support me, and I want to do just that. I got my ticket all set. The problem is it's kind of a death in the family, not even my immediate family, but someone close to us, and I may have to deal with that. It's the day before, and it's kind of far away, so I'm trying to work it where I could do both. I have a ticket in place, but please show up to support Harold Letterman. Tell him Billy C sent you. You can get the tickets by visiting that website, www.ring8ny.com. That's ring, the number 8ny.com. And tell him Billy C sent you and that you want a Billy C discount, and I'm sure you'll get one. That's all you got to do is ask. Harold Letterman, New York State Boxing Hall of Fame, Sunday, April 1st. Be there. I'm hoping to be there myself. So we'll be looking forward to that. Let's see. One last thing. You can make your plans for the Billy C Boxing Hall of Fame right now. I suggest it. Every living inductee has already committed to coming, with the exception of one. We're still reaching out to Buddy McGirt. And everyone from last year, including the two people that missed their planes, have already committed. So we'll have all of the inductees, living inductees, and the families of the post-inductees from last year will be there. And all of the living inductees from this year will be there. with the exception of possibly Buddy McGirt. We haven't gotten a yay or a nay from him. And several of the living members of the post inductees from this year will be there. As far as presentations and stuff like that, we get some really good ones, including an in-depth, detailed presentation by James Curl about Jersey Joe Walcott. His book is out. He'll have copies of his book available, so I'm looking forward to that. We also, Clay Moyle, I'm pretty sure Clay's going to do a Billy Miskey presentation, and he'll have copies of the book on Billy Miskey, so we'll be looking forward to that. Terrible Terry Norris is going to have his wife do a presentation on Parkinsonism, which is a very interesting thing. My man Runcie, I haven't been able to get a hold of him. Runcie, if you're still listening, man, get a hold of me. This is a guy we're hoping comes back and teaches us more about boxing and art. I loved that presentation, and I hope he can come back. And this time we want to try to arrange to get some of his artwork there, so we can see it. But Runcie, if any of you guys are talking with him or whatever, tell him Billy C's looking for him. You know what I mean?
Wake up. It's time for It's too early for a trivia question.
All right, man. Yesterday's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question was who fought the most fights between 1910 and 1919? Well, he tried about 150,000 times to get it right, and finally he did. My man, Coach K, he's in the chat room right now. He knew that Ted Kid Lewis fought the most fights during that 10-year period, 237 to be exact. Congratulations to Coach K. He knew that. He won the prize, and the prize was a copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game, courtesy of Title Bout. Congratulations. It's a great prize there. Now, our next one is another one. It's one of the recycled ones that took a little while for somebody to get. And we got, upon popular demand, Dave Murphy, this is his favorite book, and it's on the line right now. It's called Blood in My Coffee. It's the Dr. Ferdy Pacheco story. And this one's on the line for whoever can get this, and this is courtesy of prizefightingbooks.com. Whoever can get this question right, prior to George Foreman's comeback after a 10-year retirement, only he and one other former world heavyweight champion had only fought in one fight that went 12 rounds. Who's the other guy? If you know that answer, email me, billy@talkinboxing.com. That's TALKINBOXING.com. Good luck.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you need a lawyer, you need to use the ones that keep me out of trouble, and that's Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call, 845-221-4099, 845-221-4099, and tell them Billy C said, I'll pick up the consolation fee. On this day, March 22nd, back in 1986, Trevor Berbick. Everybody remembers when Mike Tyson knocked out Trevor Berbick, but do you remember when he won the title? Because he won it on this day in 1986 when he won a 12-round decision over Pinklin Thomas, and he won that WBC World Heavyweight title on this day, March 22nd, 1986, in Las Vegas. That concludes our show for today. We won't be doing a live show, but you'll get to see us on Fight Now tomorrow, so make sure you tune in there. But the most important thing to remember... Tune in Monday morning, unless you're listening to Fight Now. Same bat time, same bat channel, the Fight Now channel. Of course, call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call them. For all the information about the channel, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. Speaking of Fight Now, it's the only place you're going to catch the show tomorrow, fightnow.com. Call them. Get them on your TV. See you on Monday. Ciao, baby.